This is Ms. Bachmeyer, and I am just going to give you a quick rundown of where you can find information for my classes. So, all students have access to this, and this is where they need to be looking every day for assignments, notes, etc. Parents, you also are able to access Schoology. There is a parent code for you to use. It is not these codes down here, but there's a parent code for you to use that's specific to your child. So if you would like your parent code, all you need to do is email me or let me know, tell your student or whatever, and they can let me know the next day in class, and I can get you the parent code so that you can create an account and you can actually look at all of your kids' courses. So this is the way my class is set up. This is the landing page. So whenever the student goes to chemistry, they'll have a list of all their courses up here. So when they click on chemistry, this is the landing page. So on here, I made things really simple to get to. So at the top part is today's work. This is the current week. So whatever day it is, they'll just click on the flask. You'll notice that there's a little hand icon. So when they click on it, it'll take them to that day's folder. And I'll show you that in just a second. I also added a new flask, which is because I just updated this yesterday. Um, this is the link to last week's announcement page. Um, I don't think students, if I was a student, I wouldn't really use this, but I mean, you can click on it and then go to last week's flask and it'll open to those folders, but I'll show you how to get there as well. And then down here, these are important links that never change. So there is several important forms and just other various links down here. So this first form here is called the late work form. And this form needs to be completed anytime a student submits an assignment after the due date. This does include students who have accommodations for extra time, as well as students who were absent. All right. According to my syllabus, which can be found on Clever, um, students will receive a 15-point penalty for late work submitted. Now, obviously, if a student has accommodations for extra time, or if a student was absent and that's the reason why they're turning in the work late, they will not receive the penalty as long as that work is done within the time frame. Most students with late work have 1 day extra. And then when it comes to makeup work, you have 3 days once you return to get your work made up. And that makeup work for when you're absent, that only goes for assignments that were assigned while you were absent. If you had an assignment, let's say that you had an assignment on Tuesday and it was due on Wednesday, but you were absent on Wednesday, that means it's now due on Thursday. So makeup work is only for assignments that were assigned while you were out. Otherwise, whatever you had, and then if you're absent, you got to get that turned in. And that still won't count against you. You'll still put, late work. You'll still fill out the late work form, but if I have it that day, because I can see that everything's time stamped, so we're good. But anyways, the big thing here is late work form must be completed anytime an assignment is submitted after the due date. It's for documentation purposes. It's also the only way, especially for assignments that are done online. It's the only way I know to go in and update your grade. I don't want 50 million emails because I no longer have a separate email for students. Used to, whenever teachers had 2 email accounts, I used to allow students to email me, but if I get emails from students, I'm going to have too many emails that are end up getting overlooked. So the late work form is the way to go, and it's also the only way that your assignments will be graded. So if your child is coming to you and saying, "Hey, yeah, I'm failing my class, but I've turned in all this work, my teacher just hasn't graded it." If it's been quite some time since they've turned in that work, chances are they never filled out the late work form. And so make sure they fill that out. The next form is a redo form. Many of my online assignments, such as the Schoology ones that students have been assigned this week, as well as like things, quizzes, Kahoots, GimKits, items like that, a lot of those are unlimited submissions. So obviously, the work that I assign in class, students should never have homework. The only reason why a student would have homework is because they're not getting stuff done in class, because they're on their phone or they're watching movies on their Chromebook, talking to their buddies in class, just not doing work, choosing to not do work in class. That's the only reason why a student will have late work. But that means, like most assignments, I give them that day, they're due that day. And of course, if it's not turned in, because it's an online assignment, if it's not turned in by the time I get back to school the next morning. So just like today, they had an assignment today called period, or it's called light. It's light practice. So they had an assignment today. If that assignment's not due or not turned in by tomorrow morning, then it's going to be considered late, because that was an assignment that was due today. So they do have the ability to do it for homework, but that means it needs to be turned in by tomorrow morning. Um, After that, they have to fill out the late work form. But anyways, so those types of assignments that have unlimited submissions, students can always. So if, let's say, like this one's one of them, the light assignment's one of them. So they do one today. Okay, they try it once today. They make a 60 on it. And so, but they don't have time in class to do another one. Maybe they don't have internet at home to do another one, whatever. But later on, say, I don't know, maybe next Wednesday or something, they decide they need their grade to go up. And so I remind them, hey, it was unlimited submissions. That's one way you can try to get a better grade. So they go back and redo it. Whenever a student is completing an assignment for a second or third or fourth or 500th time to try to raise their grade, they need to complete the redo form. This way I know, hey, student attempted a redo, I need to go in and update their grade. The next one is a test retake form. This one is only to be used for unit exams. And then it doesn't get completed until after the test, as if the student wants to attempt the test again. I've had some students sign up for retakes and they never showed. But anyway, so that form's there. The next one, so these are all Google forms, so they fill them out. The next one is very, very important. It's absent or missing work. Use this to help you determine what notes assignments you need to complete to get caught up in class. This is very important. I have many students who have been absent. They've either been absent for multiple days at a time, or they're absent one day here, a day there, so on and so forth. But the problem is they are not making up their work. Once I grade an assignment, a 0 goes into the grade book if I do not have something from a student. And that is to draw the student's attention to their grade, saying, hey, I've got something I got to make up. Because if I don't do that, chances are they forget they have to make it up, and then the 3 days passes, and now I have to put a 0 in, and the 0 stays. So the way I do it is anytime I actually grade something, a 0 and missing automatically goes in for any student who doesn't have it turned in. And that's for absent and missing work. But what that allows them to do is it draws their attention to it. So what they'll do is they'll come to Schoology, they'll click here, and when they click on this, it brings them to this document. It is a daily assignment document where basically this is going to be the entire 6 weeks, everything that we do every single day. So it gives information like how to use it. So if you click on the date, it'll take you to the folder in Schoology. So these dates here, they are hyperlinked. So if a student clicks on it and then they'll click on the link, it'll take them to that folder in Schoology. Take them directly to it. If there's a handout, so some of these say that there's a handout, and if it's a handout, then there is a file. There's a blue basket in my classroom by the calculators. That's a handout file, and the way students use it is they find the date of whatever that handout was for. So like today we had notes. So if a student was absent today, when they come in tomorrow, they will need to get the handout for the notes today. So they'll find the handout in the folder that says 7, because the day was the 7th. So this 6 weeks started on Tuesday this week, the 5th. It ends on Friday, November 12th. And according to my syllabus, that means all late work is due no later than 3:45 on the 11th. And it's also a reminder that late work will have 15 points deducted from the grade. And the reminder to fill out the late work form. Then here starts all of the assignments for this 6 weeks. This first part of this table here, we actually started Unit 3 in the first 6 weeks, but we did not complete it. So this was 2 weeks before the end of the 6 weeks. So these here This is on here so that students can know where to go get notes from, because they do have notes they need to get, but no assignments on here can be completed at this time because that was all for 6 weeks. Then this was also, so Monday the 27th through Friday the 1st, that was also technically part of the first 6 weeks, but because that was the last week of that 6 weeks, and students need to be able to make up assignments, they also need to be able to redo. All of these grades go on the new 6 weeks, so that's why they're included down here. But anyway, so the way a student uses this is, here's the date, this is what we did in class, this is what assignment was due. And this way they know what they need to actually have turned in, what was submitted, because some of these are notes, so on and so forth. So what they would do if I had a student who was absent a day, because this was already absent or this is already updated, they would click here, click on that, and it's going to take them to that day's folder in Schoology, where they will have instructions for what they're supposed to do. So that is very important. Students, I explained to students today that they need to make sure they stay caught up on the current stuff and then work to get caught up on the other parts, because the other parts they still have 3 days to make up, but the current stuff, that's due that day. Okay. So it's important students do current stuff and then the makeup or the missing work. This here is a link to Clever, which students can also get to by clicking on the bookmark. This here is a helpful resource. So I know most of my students are not able to make tutorials for various reasons. However, they may be working at work. However, they may be working at home, and so they might need some help. So this right here is just a list of some websites and some resources for a student to use. The big one that I would recommend is this tutor.com, which is basically 24/7 tutoring. So it'd be the same thing as like having me sit down with them at home, helping them through problems. So it's really easy to use. It's free for current 10th and 11th graders. And it, like I said, it is 24/7. It's for any subject. Then this other stuff here is just some that I've collected over the years. This next one is a table of contents. We do use interactive notebook in class. So this is where students are keeping their notes. So this is where they will come if they know that they've been absent. And oftentimes this right here, like whenever it linked to today, oftentimes some of the notes, like when it's just when it's something I filled in with them, it'll be linked directly to that page. But they can come to the IMB table of contents, and when they click on here, like these were done on the 20th, so they can click on here, and it'll be completed notes for them so that they can just fill them out. So this is what they need to write on page 21. Okay, so that's how they can get their notes and get their notebook caught up. So this is very important as well. And then last but not least, if a student or a parent has a question or concern, they can click right here and it just pops up an automatic email message and they can send me an email. So this is basically a one-stop shop for students. They don't have to go hunt and peck for anything. So like today was Thursday, so they click on Thursday. Here, every single day, I will put the instructions for what they're doing that day. So here, it tells them I needed to complete the 5C periodic trends. It's 10-minute time limit. I told them what they can use. I also asked them to not use Google, so on and so forth. Then they were to do notes. So there is a handout. So it does tell you a handout. So a student knows if they're absent, tomorrow when they come in, they need to go to the blue basket and get the handout for today. Then they watch this to get the notes, and then they're going to complete the light practice assignment, which happens to be unlimited submissions. And then if they're done with all this, they should continue to work on any missing or makeup work, because right now many students are failing, and they're failing primarily from not doing assignments. So I wanted to send this out as just a little update. Also to say, hey, make sure students are working. I will send progress reports home tomorrow so you can actually see where their grades are. But like I said, right now, most of the reasons for why students are failing the class is because they're missing assignments. And yes, some of those students have been absent, so they still have time to make it up. But it just needs to be, those students need to realize they actually have to make up the work. that the absence isn't going to excuse them from doing the work.